G'day, punters. Welcome to Victims of the Punt, powered by puntingform.com.au. It's a database I've used my whole life. I love it. I couldn't live without it. Couldn't breathe without it. Pistol's obsessed with it. Big systems operator, Sneaky Pete. Boys, it's not even that of a low-key meeting this Saturday at Rosehill, but it is playing second fiddle to one of the elite meetings of all time, I think, at Flemington. But PVL's done PVL things, and we've got a $2 million race to talk about, including the race before it, which is a juicy little one too. Firstly, boys, Melbourne Cup thoughts. We'll start with you, big fella Mark Rhoden. Thoughts overall? And how'd ReadyBet fare?
Well, very well. Gold Trip was unwanted by the punters. I had something on it myself. Placed my money from the Cox Plate, which was good. Jay Spencer off, I think was discussed elsewhere, probably the biggest jockey change in world horse racing. And he got the job done. Good race. They all got round safely, which was nice. And poor old Dover legend, I had a pretty good ticket on in the futures market, a real one, not the 100 to 1 one, a real futures ticket. Didn't quite run the 3,200.
He looked like he was going in for a while there, didn't he?
Yeah, that's been happening in the Melbourne Cup for 100 years. Horses get 28, 29 metres, but not 32. So you think it was going in by 4 lengths on the turn when he ran it.
Russian Camelot was going to place, make me a lot of money, and stopped. Pistol, thoughts?
Oh, it was just a brutally run race, wasn't it? You know, they were all just
big, juicy figure, wasn't it?
Yeah. Look, I'm not too surprised by that either. And yeah, as Mark said, there was clearly just the run in transit for the winner was just perfect and avoid the carnage that happened just a fraction after he entered the straight. So it was just bizarre. Watch he hit the front and he gapped them. Finally, Gold Trip. He didn't do it on Caulfield Cup Day, but that's okay. Yeah, had something on, as Mark said, the price got out huge late. And then I did see a little order there on Betfair for 12,000 at 30 and then SP 23. So someone got something out of it at the death. So nice work.
Moving forward, we're going to have to really analyse the Bendigo Cup meeting and the Bendigo Cup next year. Obviously, it's a now key form reference. Like, honestly.
Settle down.
Honestly.
Someone had to run second and third.
Yeah.
Well, the Geelong Cup, Bendigo Cup, wasn't it?
Yep. Well, I think the Geelong Cup form was almost the form if Gold Trip didn't do what it did, and it sort of wobbled enough too.
Yeah. Didn't Emissary just sort of zip up there as if it was going to go straight past? And then I think that was the first time Emissary was showing anything on soft ground. So anyway.
And last week we saw another spooky import fail, though, in light infantry with...
Fail's a bit harsh.
Yeah.
Blocked the entire straight, buried the fence, went to the line under a hold.
I don't think he was a certainty beaten, but he was murdered. And another victim of the serial killer, Jay Spencer.
Coming to a Netflix series near you.
Yeah, which Pistol will binge watch.
I'll be directing. There's blood all over the walls. Oh, it's just mine. Sorry.
Isn't it fascinating how, we're the same, but, the racing media is just so much happier to just stick the boots into an imported rider?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Apparently, Graham Dunn gave him a hell of a time on free to wear after the Cox Plate ride. Said he didn't look up to it or something like that, which is a defendable point, but not something you ever hear said in mainstream media.
It's good.
Should we just take a quick minute silence potentially?
2.5 minute pause.
And Pistol, a little bit of a clinic last week with your time form data analysis with Star of India. How good do you think that horse is?
Look, I mean, it was a relatively plain figure overall, but it is a bit tricky trying to get a line through some of these imports, especially, they might very well get off to a good start in Australia, but then they have to settle in and get into the rest of their routine. So not getting too carried away with that horse at the moment, but it did settle further back than I thought it would. So I was a little bit surprised I was able to finish off as strong as what it did.
Mark, great man. What are we doing this week at readybet.com.au? Download the app, gamble responsibly, 1-800-858-858. Download the app, gamble responsibly. Mark, what are we doing?
Promos every day, mostly racing, some sport. We're going to have a rolling series of promos on sport over the next few months, so do download the app, log in, and check us out for what they are. And a non-refund promo we've got every Wednesday, Saturday, or not this week, but Tuesday, Saturday this week. Most Wednesdays and Saturdays will be top of the market, one horse in Melbourne and Sydney. So from race morning, we guarantee to be at least equal. Often will be standout best price on one horse in Melbourne and one horse in Sydney.
Anyone and everyone.
No refunds.
Just anyone and everyone. A real price. A real price for real punters.
Real price. Well, on Tuesday, I was best odds from about 10 o'clock on Clemenceau in Sydney, who looked awaited certainty, and it was, and I was accommodated and we paid. That's what happened. There's
nothing like him crossing the line, just like winning from about the 700 when you are clearly bigger than the exchange and everyone else.
Yeah, but we paid in cash, no bonus bets. Just I was wrong, they were right.
We might have to do a rate with a psychologist. We can share the chair, you and me.
Yeah.
Just roll forward and back with the dart.
Yeah, it's good fun. Great.
Righto, Rosehill, the rail's out 3 meters. What sort of weather and track prediction have you got for us, Mark?
Good weather, good for. Rail out 3. Now, Rosehill's been playing sort of off fence, sort of fair/off fence. I think that'll be more or less the case. I just think the rail going out 3, perhaps the inside lanes in run are a little bit more suited than they were last week. It really was midfield and off fence in run last week. Maybe a little bit more on pace and a little bit more chance for the inside lanes here, but I still think it's going to be pretty fair again. I hope it is. Rosehill's been playing really well.
Pistol, anything to add to that, or are you happy there?
Happy enough with that. As always in Sydney, monitor and adjust as the day goes on.
100%, baby. Race 7, the Hot Danish Stakes, 400 metres. Mark Rhoden, the readybet.com.au, download the app, gamble responsibly. Market, please.
Is as follows. Number 1, the favourite Electric Girl at 3, 2 Expat 950, 3 Jamea 13, 4 Lavish Girl, we're just a touch overs at 850, 5 Night of Romance, an import at 15, down to, I'll just mention 8 She's the Gift. It's a roughie, but we're just protecting it a little at 26. Divine Magic, the other import, is 18. 10 Samut is 9. More Secrets we're keeping safe at 31 as well, number 11. And the bottom one, the 3-year-old 12, She's a Belter. Now, I think you two like it. I think we're at least joint best at 480 there. I think she's a very good chance in the race, but I just thought the price was a little bit narrow.
Now, the first key replay we're going to look at, guys, is the Invitation, the strongest lead-up featuring Electric Girl, She's a Belter, and Expat, Mark Rhoden.
Yes, so this is the race won by the mighty Promise of Success. We can see
who failed on Tuesday.
Sorry?
Who failed on Tuesday.
Yeah, this was the $2 million race. This was the target. She's a Belter in the white cap over there is getting held up, and sort of not really tested. Hard to know what it had left there. Electric Girl in the pink colours is hammering home for second to just miss.
What do we take out of that race, Mark?
Well, what we take out of it, I think, is that Electric Girl's the obvious, but she really doesn't win that many. She really doesn't win that often. And that looks like a bit of a peak performance in a $2 million race to me. I know this is worth a bit of money, $500,000, I think. If she repeats that, she's the one to beat. She looks to get a good run. But when she goes to that sort of level, she doesn't always repeat, to be honest. I'm just a little bit wary of taking too short a price about her. That I've had to go looking elsewhere. She's a Belter. I thought, I could find it around $6 off that. I've never been able to get her as short as the market. She's a Belter. I thought her last 200 in her big win in Queensland in the mile race wasn't flash, even though she was running on off a fast tempo. I didn't think that was great. Didn't really smash the clock there. So that's why I've gone looking for 2 real roughies. She's the Gift first up with Kathy O'Hara on a 2 dead trial. I think I've got, I'm pretty sure I've got Electric Girl on top by default. Samut ran on really well in the last race on the same day over 1,200. The 2 things I'm going to back, just have something on it. 8 She's the Gift. First up, good form in Queensland in first prep for Walla last time. 2 really, really quiet trials up in Queensland. Now back to Sydney for this. Kathy O'Hara on. I don't know what that means. More Secrets miles up in class, but dynamic winner, I thought, at Warwick Farm last time. And you can get up to $51 in places. Shouldn't be that big. She's a Belter, has to be a chance, but as I touched on earlier, I just struggle to get it as short as the market.
Our next replay is Samut, which is Mark's just mentioned, out of the same day. Talk us through this, please, Mark.
Yeah, well, this was the last race in the program that day. The eventual winner, Titanium Powers, is going to the front now. Samut, as we can see, look, obviously, I suspect anyway, they've had this race in mind with the big prize money. Got out the back there, and last 100 was its best of the race. Really did hit the line very strongly. Got quite close to the winner. Pretty good lead up for this, you'd think.
Pistol, what's your top 5 and how are you going to handle this race?
It's a pretty tricky race. Look, I thought She's a Belter was entitled to improve going back to the dry track, and I'm putting a bit of faith in Rob Scurry because he was very keen on the horse in the mounting yard first up, and look, obviously was held up the entire straight. I think will go better on the good track and just seems to map perfectly. Has a narrow SP over Electric Girl. There's just a few little ticks there. So happy to go with it on top. I agree the price is probably about right, but I think I'll get better on the day. I'm happy to have something on this Import Night of Romance, just purely on its racing pattern. Should settle on speed. Looks like it's on the upward spiral. There's no trial in Australia, but of its last 3-4 starts, I think it's got a good enough to get it to be going close here and getting a bit of cheek if they can put it into the race early. Look, Samut's running well. I think it goes better a little bit on the wetter tracks, though. And look, More Secrets. It's hard to know what exactly to do with that last start figure because it was on the heavy track, but geez, it was pretty impressive going through the line. So, look, it's an interesting race. It's pretty tricky to work out exactly how to bet early, but I'll be waiting for the day, that's for sure.
I think you guys have missed one here. Melbourne form's been standing up and pinching all the good Sydney races. I think Cliff's Art's flying. Yet to find a suitable race. From what you guys said at the start of the show with track pad, maybe we see that same scenario again, but I think you'll be getting $30-$40 late this horse, and I think it's a nice, easy bet each way. Chain of Lightning form, Ice Bath form, Remark form. I think the horse is airborne, and we'll run a big race on Saturday. Then I'm Electric Girl, She's a Belter, Expat, and Lavish Girl, who I think probably does its best work on heavy decks. The next race, guys, race 8, the 5 Diamonds, 800 metres, 6-year-olds only or 5-year-olds only. I'm not sure.
6-year-olds only race next year because they're running out of places to go. They've already got the 4-year-old and 5-year-old race. Race.
I know Peter listens every week. If we could get a 7-year-old race next year for Keats over the mile, better to you, great man. The market, please, here. Mark Rhoden, readybet.com.au. Download the app, gamble responsibly. This is the ReadyBet market for the 5 Diamonds, race 8 at Rosehill.
Number 1, Ellsberg, 250 and favourite. 2 Laws of Indices, 480. 3 Rustic Steel, 14. 7 Ayrton, 7. Down to number 7, Uncle Bryn, 950. 9 Diamond, 10. 10 Sabak, 19. And longer the rest.
Sorry, it's something very distracting on .com if anyone's watching. Honestly.
No, definitely not.
Wow. Right, the first replay, guys, we're going to look at is the 5 Diamonds Prelude. Take it away, Mark.
Okay, so this is Ellsberg winning the 5 Diamonds Prelude. It's, led and pretty much won as it liked, coming off a dead heat win in the half a win in the Epsom the start before. So
the world's best horse.
With the best horse in the former best horse in the country, top rank, correct. Look, he's in outstanding form. He's up to 1,800, which is the unknown quantity here. Ayrton was never on the track in that race, 3 wide, pretty much the entire, and boxed on pretty well for 4th, I thought.
Pistol, what did you take from that?
Oh, look, we've got a couple of horses here that have been racing in far better grade and have far better overall ratings than a lot of the others. So, look, principally I'm talking about Laws of Indices and Ellsberg. The rest of them, they've been running around in basically pretend races, and we've got 2 imports that are a little bit unknown. One of them's had 2 trials, both pretty quiet, and the other one hasn't trialled and has settled on speed at stages. So this is a really, really difficult race to line up. I think if the track's playing fair, the clear top pick is Laws of Indices. I just think it's clearly the best horse here. Ellsberg, probably not the worst profile for the horse stepping up in distance, but I think it's obviously well established that the horse goes well at the track. But 1,800s surely has to be a bit of a query, and look, I think it might be a bit messy up front as well. I can't actually find a genuine leader here. So,
and is there a bit of a risk, Peter, Ellsberg onto a good track?
I'm not so much concerned about that. The horse has performed okay on dry surfaces previously. I think it's more just the race shape that's concerning me. So looking for horses settling a little bit off speed and carry into the race with momentum. Laws of Indices is the one.
Speaking of Laws of Indices, let's catch his replay of the Toorak. Now, we know he ran a decent race in the Cox Plate. This was his lead up. And the Golden Eagle winner is I Wish I Win, who was $1.70 maybe by now, and travelled up to run on into this race. And Law of Indices completely gave him windburn. Mark Rhoden.
Yeah, that form reads pretty well after last Saturday, doesn't it? With I Wish I Win winning the Golden Eagle with $10 million. And as you say, he runs straight past him here, doesn't he? Then ran in the Cox Plate, just out of his depth, but wasn't disgraced by any means. He is absolutely fine. The only thing that held me up was this 1,800 metres starts on a bend and he's drawn 10 or 11 or something. I suppose he goes straight back, but he could also be posted, and there doesn't look to be a great deal of speed. If he'd drawn 5 or something, I'd have him clearly on top for sure. I think he's absolutely airborne, but the map does scare me.
What price would Ellsberg have started in the Toorak?
I don't know.
What price would have started in the Cox Plate?
Oh, Ellsberg in the Cox Plate? All right. Well, hang on. Off the about 25s or 33s off, considering it had just dead heated with top rank 2, went around about 12.
And was, potentially the best horse in the country at the time. I think that this is like the easiest, simplest. We'll roll my top 5 off the bat. It's John Allen, who's a great rider, but not in massive amount of form, to Hugh Bowman, who'd be very hungry riding in town, in Sydney, not on the Champions Day. I think Law of Indices is the easiest bet to have of all time. Trust in Hugh to get it right from barrier 11. It's Cox Plate form. You can build a bank for summer, often just following the horses out of the Cox Plate. It's already stood up. Melbourne Cup winner. It'll stand up all Saturday at Flemington. This horse started $26 in the Cox Plate, started $13 in the Toorak, $13 in the Toorak. The form out of both has already stood up big time, proper form. I think this is an outstanding bet, an easy bet, and I've got 5 there, but I almost put the same horse 5 times. Ayrton is a good horse, but not an elite horse, and I think Law of Indices is hoof on the till for eliteness. Love this horse, love this bet. Peter, what's your top 5?
Yeah, going with Laws of Indices as well on top. I think at the price of the horse that's got a little bit of X factor is Uncle Bryn. We saw its overseas best or PB. It hasn't probably quite reached that since it's been in Australia, but it does look like it's trending upwards. It does get back in the field, so we'll need a positive map for it, or positive race shape against the day. Ellsberg seems to map well and, goes into the numbers. And look, the 2 internationals, new mandate, I thought the trials were very quiet. I would love to see a little bit of a market push from the stable, but they both ended up with Waller, so just keep an eye on what the fair does late there.
I was interested in Uncle Bryn too, but Bermudez was favourite in that race at Sale, and Bermudez came out in an average race, not like the Toorak and not the Cox Plate, and was playing again on Tuesday in conditions that suited him. Uncle Bryn interests me a lot, but that Bermudez factor steered me clear of it and just got me more horned up for Laws of Indices. Mark Rhoden, run us through your top 5, please.
Yeah, just you're having faith in Hugh, and fair enough. He may well, especially with $2 million up for grabs, find a way. I just, on the map, went to Ellsberg, even though I'm concerned about 1,800 metres, and I don't think $2.50 is any spoil at all. As I said, if Laws of Indices are drawn 5 or 6, I'd have them flipped. As it stands, I think that's the right starting point for the market. We'll see any pattern emerge on the day, put it that way. If they're sailing down the middle, like just on that private eye last week, we were worried about the map. By race 7 or whatever it was last week, barrier 11 was the place to be. And he was backed, and he should have actually run shorter, and I should have backed him on. This is why I bring it up. I'm guilty I didn't back it because he was actually drawn bang right spot.
What do you do with private eye this week in Melbourne?
Oppose him at your peril. He's just come back.
They're some of the greatest races of all time on Saturday, aren't they? Like they're races, honestly.
Yeah.
I know you guys have probably never heard me say this. I'm happy to. I don't even need to bet in it. I could just watch it and enjoy what the market does. Like you got he's the most airborne horse in Australia. But my Oberon looks really, really talented as well.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely magnificent days racing. Great concepts, and good on them for trying it. It's going to be terrific. Ayrton was my 3rd pick, and then from Uncle Bryn, I think. I wasn't that taken with the imports. That on the figures, they didn't seem to stack up as well as they did in the races last week. I thought, but always a theory, of course. But look, it's actually looking like a no-bet race for me early. But yes, we'll wait and see what happens on the day.
Pistol, do you get out of the cave for Saturday? I know you were set for a really big Flemington Carnival and yet to actually leave the lair.
I did hear Uncle Chris say earlier today that he got used to watching all the races up in Sydney and not going down for Cup Week. And, you know, the last couple of years, it's just built in a different level of comfort zone. No, I'll make it out there on Saturday. I think, you know, it might be the last time we see Animo and Nature Strip in the flesh. Or you never know with Nature Strip, but Animo certainly, he might be heading straight overseas. So I think it's a good day to actually get out there and see them go around for one more time.
Mark Rhoden, you going to go out there and vape with all the young kids, or are you going to stay at home?
No, I'll stay at home and vape, I think. I've got a bit here at ReadyBet HQ in Collingwood. There's always plenty to do on a big Saturday like this, so I've got to be on the tools.
Righto, let's wrap it up. Let's have a look at our best and value before we close it out. None yet from
Shouldering arms. Look, to be honest, I've only done these 2 races, and I've got the favourites on top, and I don't like the prices.
Pistols with race 7, number 12. She's a belter, and I am very, very keen on Laws of Indices to win the big amount of money. Huey Bowman. And our value bets, please.
Yeah, well, no best bet, but I've gone with 2 value in the same race, as I mentioned earlier. She's the Gift at 26 and More Secrets at $31 in the Hot Danish. And actually, if you want to swerve ReadyBet to back them, please feel free, because there is better out there.
Are you suggesting take the price now, or like half stake, or what do you think?
I'd go. I mean, they could run 100s. I think they should be about half or less the current price they are. So I'm definitely having something on at around $40, $51 if I can get it. But who knows?
Pistols with Uncle Bryn, as he articulated before, and I'm with Clissart to a bit of a blowout chance there in race 7. Boys, God bless you. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend. Enjoy Flemington Championship Day, guys, everyone. And when you're not watching the grouse racing, make sure you tune in and get all of the good racing from Rosehill and everywhere else. But if you are doing that, download the readybet.com.au app. Gamble responsibly. 1-800-858-858. And just have a great day betting. And if you are betting, though, what's the number one thing they all should be doing if they don't want to have a bet in Sydney on Saturday?
Getting Rob's Mounting Yard Mail.
Mailbag.com.au. Download the app. You're gambling responsibly if you download that app and get Rob Scurry's late mail, Mounting Yard Mail, live from the yard, delivered to your app. Very, very cheap. Great product. Have a great weekend, guys. God bless you all. And bye for now.